Okay, for everybody out there, we welcome you to our first CMI Vocal Masterclass. This morning, we have a former CMI vocal guest, Cathie Koehnen, who attends the Mississauga, or lives in Mississauga, and is the songster leader at the York Minster Citadel Corps in Toronto. She is also the deputy songster leader of the very fine Canadian staff songsters. Her day job is, in fact, she's a high school music director, which means that she actually deals with instrumental music as well. But we're really happy to have you with us this morning, Cathie, so we're going to give it back to you.
Great, thank you. It's good to see you, and I was reminiscing today, and I was going to wear this, my Camp Wonderland hoodie, but it's very warm, and I thought I couldn't get through the hour wearing that. So just know that I'm there in spirit with everybody at camp. And I actually have my 2 photo albums from when I was at CMI, and I was looking at the camp song this morning. And so I'm very excited to be back, even though it's virtual. And I actually even took time this morning to have sealed orders. And I have to say that was one of my favorite things about being at CMI, was the time we had in sealed orders each day. So I took time to do that this morning and reminisce, and I feel like I'm kind of in the mood now to really be with everybody at CMI. So thank you for the invitation. Harold has asked me, the topic for this morning is how to make a beautiful sound. And I don't know, I'm seeing a wide range of ages and people. So some of you have been singing a lot in lots of groups, and some of you may be just starting your journey as a vocalist. But what I want to do is just talk about some things that maybe are very, very familiar to you, that you've heard many times, but this will be a refresher and maybe just a different perspective. And also, if it's new to you, then I hope that it will be something that will be really, really helpful as you begin your journey. I don't want it to be boring. I know some of you are tired. You look like you're all dressed. Nobody's in their pajamas, so that's kind of good. But I'm a fast talker, and so hopefully I'll be able to keep you engaged. I just wanted to ask a question as we're thinking about this idea of how to make a beautiful sound. It sort of brings to question, who do you like to listen to? What draws your ear to some vocalist or to someone? Harold and I were just speaking about someone he heard last night, and a beautiful voice. What makes that beautiful sound? And not just individually, because we hear soloists, but also groups singing. So a songster brigade or a choir, what is that draws you to that choir or to that group? I know that sometimes it might be repertoire. You might like a certain style of music, or you like the music that a soloist or a group sings. But I think it goes even beyond that. And whether it's secular music or in Christian music, what is it that goes beyond that? And so I would say for myself that often what it is the tone, the sound quality, the timbre, or just, we use words to describe things like that, like, oh, she has a warm voice, or he has a dark voice, or a bright voice, or it's very strident, or whatever that is. And we have words to connect with that. So we will often refer to as a singer or even a choir with one of those words. And we know that some people just are blessed with beautiful natural tone. And what a blessing that is for those singers. And others, we have to really work on how we make a beautiful sound. So we're kind of talking individually this morning, but we're also talking as a group. So if you are a soloist, or you're coaching a soloist, or you're a young singer who's getting opportunities to sing at your corps or wherever, we're going to talk a little bit about the things we need to do as individuals. But then that's going to be applied to what we do in a songster brigade or a choir or a youth chorus, whatever we happen to be involved in. So one of the most important things for me and for singers to consider when we're thinking about a beautiful sound has to do with good old diction, vowels and consonants. So this is the part that you may have heard this spoken about a lot, but this is what I'm going to focus a little bit on at the beginning. And I don't want to make it boring, so I may not touch on everything, and I want to keep it moving. But hopefully, if you do have any other questions later, you can ask those. So in diction, we talk vowels and consonants, and really, so much is said about the importance of forming vowels, vowel formation, and the use of being articulate with our consonants. And so we know that without proper vowel formation, that our tone will be unpleasant. The sound won't carry. We'll have intonation issues. You even, you could cause some muscle tension and so on that could really damage your voice. And without consonants, the word. The host muted me. Can you hear me now? Yes? Okay, good. Jude must not like what I said. Anyway, without consonants, the words won't be understood. We know that. It gives clarity. It also, oftentimes in faster singing, gives us percussive energy that we need. And, without the consonants too, the sound often gets back in our throats. And we talk about, we're going to talk about it, where we want that sound placed. Okay, everybody's still awake? We're still going. So we have two things we're going to consider: correct vowel formation and the exact consonant weight, the weight of the consonants when we're singing. So first of all, vowels. Effective vowel placement, as I've already said, is going to create beautiful tone. So we talk about keeping the sound forward at the front of our mouth. We talk about a ringing sound, letting the sound ring. And so if you're thinking about that yourself and trying to figure out what that means, and maybe you've had a director say that to you before and you're like, I don't really get it. I know that later in this week, you're going to be doing warm-ups, and you're also going to be talking about breathing. And those are such key things in helping us to get these vowels forward in our face, in the mask, as we call it. And a lot of times conductors will say, I want the sound to come from here, not from your throat. And so using humming exercises and things to help us get that sound forward. And we're going to be talking about lots of space inside so that there's lots of place for the sound to bounce off and resonate so that the sound is amplified. So this keeping it forward in the front of our mouth and this ringing sound. The place of the vowels is also dependent on lips, teeth, tongue. We need to sort of experience where things are happening and how they're happening. So we have bright vowels and dark vowels, and we go basically from our brightest, which are more spread vowels, to our darkest when we actually speak. So E, A, Ah, O, U. We see this change in the shape of the mouth. And the lips are doing that for us too, wrapping around the U and rounder for the O. So E, A, Ah, O, U. But the issue is when we sing, that E vowel has a tendency to get quite spread. And so we want to learn how to bring it in and figure out where it should be. So if you are a soloist, you want to listen to the way you're shaping it. And then when we get into a choir situation, we all have to do it exactly the same way to create this really lovely, ringing, pure, round, focused sound that gives us this beautiful tone and really much better intonation. So we have to be careful with the E that we don't go too spread. With my choir at school, I often do the little exercise where I have them, if we're singing something and it has that E sound and it's too spread, I'll get them to exaggerate it and sing it very wide, E, and then we're going to bring our hands in, and as we bring our hands in, we're going to bring the vowel in, E, and as it comes in and there's more pucker in the mouth, we see that the vowel gets darker in sound. Sometimes the E's can get really spread. In contemporary music and worship music, and maybe if we're singing something gospel or more up tempo, we might want to spread the vowels a little bit more. We might want them to be brighter like that, depending on the word. I'm going to mention that a little bit later, but these are things we need to think about, where we want this placed. We need to stay totally relaxed too. No tension in the jaw. In our shoulders. I tend to carry a lot in my shoulders, but no tension in the shoulders. And again, a good warm up and talking about breathing and posture will help this, but we need to be reminded of it while we're singing, whether a solo or in a group. So relaxed jaw, even the tongue, like no tension at all, trying to stay totally relaxed. Because tension in our jaw and in our tongue and our shoulders creates tension in our sound. So we need to practice these vowels. I often refer to them as north-south vowels as opposed to east-west vowels. So we talk about height inside so that there's lots of space inside so that you're not closing. And a lot of times we hear singers that are very closed. They're not opening their mouths, but it's not just the mouths, it's actually inside. It's very tight and closed. The throat isn't open. Using the exercise of yawning, which we might help people to do quite well right now. Yawning and keeping the throat open, using our air, and then having lots of space inside so that so that there can be resonance and this lovely quality of sound that we want. Resonance being the amplification of our sound. We've all heard singers who can stand on a platform and project right to the back wall. And then we've all heard, little children or whoever who are just struggling to get a little sound out. And so much of it has to do with what's happening inside and creating that space and using the air properly and so on. I've often used too with my kids or for anybody, feeling the vibrations, right? So you put the heel of your hand on your forehead and you sing, and often really good in warm-ups when you're doing that, to sort of can you feel the vibration? Can you feel that the sound is forward? Things like that can help. So we're going to move just that sort of vowels. Oh, and I forgot too, it's not just the E, A, O, U, but there are other vowels that are sometimes cause me grief when I'm conducting, are I and Eh. So an example of a word, bitter, bitter, better, bit and making sure that it's very clear, the sound. And again, as a singer, you're going to listen to yourself to what that sounds like, record yourself, listen back, can you understand and what do the vowels sound like? But even in our choirs, making sure that I and we spend a lot of time on the E, A, O, U, but a lot of times we kind of neglect vowels like that. So that's just something for me. But even then, when you're doing the A, E, O, U, I know in Harold's book, I'm always promoting Harold's book, there are things about, making actions to help people. And I've done that with my students as well, shaping the O and then the U, either, sipping through a straw, sipping spaghetti, whatever it is to help you remember how to shape it. Look in front of a mirror to see if you're doing it. A lot of times at school, I'll say, you think you're doing it, but I'm looking at you and your mouth hasn't changed at all. So it's really being conscious of using the lips and everything to shape these vowels. Okay, that's vowels. Consonants. Consonants, we need to understand the text. And as Christians, this is our message, right? We want people to understand what we're singing about or what's the point really. And so we have to consider the consonants, as this is part of our diction as well with the vowels. They give vitality to the song, and they're not sustained, right? We talk about voiced and unvoiced consonants. I'm not going to go deeper into that, but we need to think about how we're producing the consonant, and we have to work at it. You don't want them overdone, but you don't want to, obliterate them. You want to make sure that they're there. And I think the weight of the consonant depends where it is in the word, whether it's the beginning of the word, the middle of the word, or the end of the word, as to what the emphasis might be and how much you want to hear them, depending on what you're singing. I think Jesus, keep me near the cross. If I just sing it, and we're congregational singing, Jesus, keep me near, but giving some length to that J. Jesus, keep the K sound. We're going to talk about it more in a second, but the K, Jesus, keep, K is hard, K's and G's, right? Because it sort of comes from here. Keep me near the cross. And there you've got the K and the R, right? So somehow you don't want to be, Jesus, keep me near the cross. And also the near. You have to get some length to it. Otherwise it's, the context of the actual text gets lost. Len Valentine, who a lot of you will know or have met or maybe worked with, in the staff songsters, he has great analogies, and the one that I am loving in the last couple of years that he uses is the image of a golf swing. I don't know how many of you are golfers or have golfed, but he talks about how the vowel is where you make contact with the ball. The consonant has to come before, it's in the swing. So you're not going Jesus, G, but it's G, Jesus, keep me near the cross. It comes before the vowel, and the vowel is the contact with the ball. If that image helps you at all, I love it myself. I love thinking about that consonant has to have some length. It has to come before that vowel. So that's just a little thing that has helped me. Watching where we put those shout. Where is that T going to come, and how long is it going to be? Shout, 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 right? You need to figure that. And even the SH, I think a lot of times we lose the beginnings of things like shine, shine on us, giving a little bit of length. This is all sort of like subjective, and it's really up to individuals, conductors. I'm a very much a consonant person, consonant person. I love to have clean consonants and clear consonants when I hear singing. D's and T's, you have to be careful you don't overdo them. D's, Lord. Some people will say, make it like a T. I don't like it like a T. I like it like a D. It's a D. Lord. You know, you'll sometimes get that. So those are things to work on. R's, R's are nasty, right? Serve. I serve a risen Savior, right? I serve, that sound. Making sure that you get rid of that R completely, or you flip the R. Serve. You get rid of those so they don't come out as harsh sounds. Just a second now. L's, M's, N's. I love, majesty. I mentioned Jesus, keep me near the cross. Making sure that those have some sound. There is sound. F's, fully. That comes off the lip. Fully. What was the song I was thinking when I was thinking about F's? Oh, Father, we love you. Father, we love you. Worship. Whoa, can be very hard. So we either put the sound of like an oo, worship, or sometimes if it's WH, where, right? It's almost like an H sound before. We need to make sure that those are heard and they're not abrupt. And that often happens at the beginnings. So L's and F's, fully, right? Power, the P coming off the lips as well, power. And then Jesus, I mentioned before. So all of these consonants, we need to listen to them, not overdo them. You don't necessarily in a devotional piece want those to pop, right? You want to make sure that they're heard so the text is understood. But it's important. And then, I'm talking fast, sorry, take a breath. And then diphthongs. Diphthongs, two vowels together. So like light, the word light has an ah and an e. Light. If you say it slowly, light. You don't go la, it's light. And so you have to decide, are you singing on the first vowel of the diphthong or the second vowel? So in something like light or night or Christ, we sing on that ah sound, light. And when we close it, it goes to the E. But then there are some like the word beautiful. Beautiful Lord, wonderful Savior. It's an E sound first going to the U, but we don't want to stay on the E. Beautiful, right? So those are things we need to think of as well. And then word stress. Flower, heaven, when we're singing to make a beautiful sound. Okay, well, that's another one. Beautiful Savior, wonderful, whatever. Beautiful Savior. We pull back on that second syllable. We shape it back so that just the way we speak, and I often will have people speak the text. We don't say beautiful Savior, Savior. And there's that there's that nasty Okay, so we think about, we're not gonna spend time talking about it now, but T's come off the teeth. F's come off the lips. Good. You can feel that their energy is coming. And again, this is so much about breathing, and I think breathing's tomorrow, but using the diaphragm to help produce that. And those exercises we use a lot in warm-ups, like, or whatever it is that helps you to sort of work on producing those consonants and then applying that to the text that you're singing. Okay, so recap, vowel sounds. North, south, or whatever you decide, wherever it is going to be, but we want to be very careful that we're not spreading them wide, unless that's what you specifically want. But keeping them north, south, lots of safe space inside the soft palate, and you're lifting. Tongue is often out of the way, flat in the bottom of our mouth, depending on what the vowel is, but you just have to pay attention to what's going on. So lots of height, open throat. You can try the heel of your hand on your forehead and feel those vibrations. Consonants, clean. Don't overdo them, but don't ignore them. Okay, I've talked enough. What we're going to do right now is I have a friend who, it's interesting because she reminded me just recently that I adjudicated her when she was at music camp many years ago. And we're all finding things in COVID time, right? We're all purging and finding things. And she found the adjudication that I gave her when she was at music camp. And I didn't really know her then. She was just a student at music camp and just a young girl. And then years later, she joined the divisional youth chorus that I was the leader of in our first years. And now she sings in York Minster Songsters and she sings in the Canadian Staff Songsters. She has a beautiful voice. And we went to our corps the other night to record what you're about to hear. Now, I said to Janine, I want you to sing poorly. I said, I want you to just do it all wrong. She's like, I don't know if I can do that. I said, well, you have to think about it, because when we learn how to sing better and properly, we hope we create really good habits that we don't, backslide into our other way of singing. And so it was hard for her to actually try and sing poorly. So you're going to hear her sing, and she's going to sing the worship, just the beginning of the worship song, King of Kings, Majesty, Majesty, King of Kings. And she's singing it poorly, so don't think, why has Cathie picked this singer for us to hear? She's going to sing it poorly. We're just going to sort of reflect on what we heard, and then we're going to hear her sing it much nicer, much more nicely. So I think we're going to set that up right now. If you can focus on listening to vowels, consonants, you're going to see her singing. So even look at the way she's presenting herself. Look at her mouth. What's she doing there? And just see, even if you've got a piece of paper or whatever, and take some notes, we're going to listen to her. We're going to listen to her sing. So this is Janine Vanderhorden, and she's singing King of Kings, Majesty. Thanks, Jude.
King of Kings, Majesty, God of heaven, living in me, gentle Savior, closest friend, strong deliverer, beginning and end. All within me falls at your throne, your majesty, I can but bow. I lay my all before you now. In royal robes I don't deserve, I live to serve your majesty.
Okay, thank you, Janine. She'll be embarrassed by that. But anyway, I think as you were listening, you could hear things that were not correct. I think things like spreading those E's, majesty, and it's just not a nice sound, right? Like you're like, oh my gosh, you're feeling sorry for her, right? You're like thinking, I hope this ends soon for her sake. Things like serve, I live to serve your majesty. Even the K's on king. King, we've already said that takes work. King of Kings. Also the king of, that V sound really, to be King of Kings. That takes work as well. God of heaven living in me, gentle Savior, right? You could hear those things, closest friend, and she wasn't putting D's, friend or God. And then when she got to throne, it was so closed. It was just here, and you could just hear the throne. We were talking about diphthongs, or just the way we shape things. Bow. She was kind of like doing this very strange thing at the end of bow and now, right? Sort of elongating those vowels and making it just a horrible sound. She was swaying. Did you see that? She was kind of just like, kind of not feeling comfortable, closed mouth, just not a very pleasant sound. It wasn't forward, it wasn't projected. I don't know if there's anything else that you wrote down. I don't know if anybody wants to unmute and say anything, but those vowels being spread, how are we going to bring those in? What's she going to do? Because even the warmth of her sound, Janine has a really warm, lovely sound, but even that, you could hear bits of it, but even that was really lost, the warmth of her singing. Okay, so also shaping. We haven't really talked about shaping, but where the line is going, right? And then at the end of the phrase, how we taper the end of the phrase so it's not abrupt. This has short little phrases, King of Kings, Majesty, right? So there is that break there, but then there are some longer, not many longer phrases, but there are a couple. So I think what we'll do is we're gonna listen to her sing it correctly. And the other thing is the message. If we're not singing it, with diction, with good consonants and so on, the message gets totally lost. First of all, because we're distracted by the sound that she's creating, but secondly, because we can't understand the words. So I think the music's going to be up, and we're going to hear her sing it, and we're going to hear her sing it in a better way right now. Maybe. Jude.
King of kings, majesty, God of heaven, living in me, gentle Savior, closest friend, strong deliverer, beginning and end. All within me falls at your throne. Your majesty, I can but bow. I lay my all before you now. In royal robes I don't deserve. I live to serve your majesty. Earth and heaven worship you. Love eternal, faithful and true, who brought the nations ransomed souls, brought the sinner near to your throne. All within me cries out in praise. Your majesty, I can but bow. I lay my all before you now. In royal robes I don't deserve. I live to serve your majesty. I live to serve your majesty.
Okay. I know you can hear the difference. I know that you can. If we were to go back, Janine and I, and if I were to work with her a little bit, I would ask her to do a few little things that maybe she didn't do as much as I would like to hear. Things like heaven, less on the have on the second syllable, heaven, and maybe lay, giving a little bit more length to that L sound. But you could understand the words much better. The other one, can but, like putting that T there. But it was so nice to hear faithful, deserve, and serve, and hearing those vowels. And just by shaping those vowels better and adding those consonants, I just enjoyed listening to her much better. The sound was rounder, the sound was purer. And so I know you can hear the difference. And I know you've heard singers, and maybe you're singers yourself, that, you know, sometimes it's not your best thing, and other times it's better because you focus on these things. And any campers that are listening right now and watching, record yourself and listen. We can do that now. It's so great that we can record ourselves and listen back, and really, you know, be critical about what you liked of your own singing and what you think you need to work on. And if you're not sure how to do it, then ask people to help you, and read Harold's book. Okay, we're going to move on. I hope that's helpful, just that little bit. We're going to move on to a piece of music called Cleansing Power, originally called Are You Washed? Stephen Pelly has written this song, and I think most of you that are online now have heard it because it's the song for the virtual choir that we're doing for this week. And Stephen Pelly is a Salvationist living in Quebec. He used to come to our territorial music school, and he tells the story of the first time he was petrified because he had to audition in front of me and the other vocal director at National. It was his first time there, and he was very nervous and scared. And now when I see the growth in this young man, he's not so young anymore, but it's incredible. And he's writing a lot of great music. So he wrote the music for this piece, The Familiar Words. We know it. This is a faster song. I wanted to use King of Kings because it was slower, and it's slower songs give us a better opportunity to really think about or demonstrate vowels because we have more time to stay on them and sing them. And we always, I didn't say that, always sing on the vowels. We always lengthen and stretch the vowels, and then the consonants just come in. But this piece of music, it's, you know, it's a little bit more contemporary. It's brighter. Whereas King of Kings, we might sing a little bit darker, but this we would sing brighter. And so I mentioned that in bright singing, sometimes the vowels are, you know, not so north-south. They might be just out a little bit. And as a group, this is where your director, your conductor, has to sort of listen and make sure that everyone is singing it just the same way, and the way that you want it. So when we sing this, have you been to Jesus for the cleansing power? Are you washed? Are you washed? Are you washed? So for me, the washed, I want it to be a little bit more spread. I wouldn't sing, have you been to Jesus for the cleansing power? Are you washed? I wouldn't necessarily do that. Are you washed? Washed? It's almost a little bit more of a smile, maybe showing a little bit of teeth, but I would just spread that a little bit, but you have to be careful that it doesn't go crazy. So we listen to the people around us, and we see what our conductor is asking us to do, and then we have to match that. We all have to do it the same way. Otherwise, we hear voices sticking out, and the intonation gets awful because we're not all singing totally in tune on that pitch with the same vowel. That's where I would do my little E exercise or whatever the vowel is, and then we all do it together. And oh, that's where we want it. Everybody realizes that's where it is, you know, so that we match that vowel sound. It just helps. In this song, there's also things like scoops or slides or whatever you want to call it. They're not, I don't know if they're written on the new version or not, Harold, but I don't think they are, but they're necessary. So I do this, when Stephen wrote this, I'm always asking him for new music. So he said, I've done this, you know, can you try it with the staff songsters? So he sent this to us a couple of years ago. It's just been published, but we've been using it for over a year now. And there are places in the text, there's a fountain flowing, there's a fountain flowing, there's a fountain flow. You're just landing on the notes, not doing anything. And that's that great F plus the L. There's a fountain flowing forward. So when you do those and you determine where they are, you have to make sure that everybody lands on that pitch. So we're sliding up and it's very quick, it's going by quickly, but we all have to land on that vowel, on that pitch. If people are kind of almost there, then we know we have intonation problems. So that's something about this song that I think is really important, is to add those scoops or those slides in and then listen very carefully. This is really too where you need to make a choice about consonants, because sometimes in contemporary or gospel music, we don't want all the consonants there. In choral singing, we do. So you have to determine if some of them are going to be thrown away or if they're going to help to give this percussive, clean sound. Okay, and the other thing, and this is me being picky, and this is me. So when we listen to the staff songsters sing the third verse, you're going to hear some length on some words like lamb. When you look at the music, are you washed in the blood of the lamb? Lamb, lamb. People can clip it because it says it's an eighth note, so I'm going to clip it. But if we just clip it, are you washed in the blood of the lamb? I just feel like we don't even have a chance to hear the end of the word. Are you washed in the blood of the lamb? Just giving it a little bit of energy and breaking it together. There's still going to be space, but I don't like it too short. That's my preference. Oh yeah, consonants fully. There's a fountain flowing, so working on those. The other one that's, it's over and over and over in this piece. Are you are. It's like the, have you ever been to sea? You know, maybe you don't have that commercial down there. Anyways, you're gonna get a multitude of variations on the word are. So how do we want that vowel to be? And we want to get rid of that hard R sound, right? Are you washed? No. The R is flipped, or the R is just totally gone. Are you washed? Right? So that's a place where we don't want that consonant. And sometimes in this faster singing too, like T's that are in the middle of words and stuff, we might not want to hear those enunciated quite as much. So how's my time, people? Oh, we're doing fine. Okay. Also, so we're going to be listening in a second to the Canadian staff songsters sing verse 3 and the chorus. And then I'm going to just talk about a couple things, because this is just us singing it at a performance at a core in Toronto for a concert. It's not remastered, it's nothing. It's just us singing it. And so there are, as always in a performance, there are a few things that I wish I, could sort of take back and say, let's just try that again. But the more you sing music too, in your groups, in your youth choruses, or wherever you are, the more you sing and you learn music, it sort of becomes more part of who you are, and you know exactly what to do when. Sometimes it morphs into too much, so that's not as accurate anymore. But as you get to know things, you remember those. In the original that Stephen wrote, there's a men's part where the men, he originally wrote it as an ah, and I guess at Music Editorial or somebody has changed that to an oo. Probably because oo is a much prettier vowel than ah. Ah can be really nasty. I like the ah in this song better, just for me, because I feel it gives more energy going into the next section. But I think there's one rough ah in here that you might hear that I would like to just be able to take back and fix a little bit. Okay, so yeah, I think we're just going to hear the third verse leading up to the key change. If we can do that now, that would be great. Okay, so in listening to that, some of the things that draws attention to me are these like garments. I thought the pitch didn't quite make it. Lay aside your garments. That's one of those slides that you have to make sure it lands. And it's just a little bit under when they sang that there. So it's really listening and making sure that we all land on that together. This is all creating a sound that I want to listen to, right? Beautiful sound, something I want to listen to. And then are you washed? You can hear that's a little bit why there's a little bit more time taken on that vowel than just closing. Are you washed in? Are you washed? Washed. It's just leaning into it a little bit and giving it a little bit more emphasis and length. That's just the way I like it. You could hear this song. Have you been to Jesus for the cleansing power? Sort of more detached and more of a little bit of punch to it, but you can still create great rhythm by keeping things long. So my choice in this was to keep it, have you been to Jesus for the, instead of have you been to Jesus for the, I still sing on the vowels and keep them long, but use the consonants and the slides and all of that to help give it the energy. Then there are parts in it that we're going to be coming up to where I make it more pointed and more rhythmic, and the syncopation comes out a little bit more accented or staccato or whatever, clean it. So the thing to blood of the Lamb, I would have liked a little bit more D, even though it's sort of faster singing. They didn't put as much D as I would have liked there, but on other words, like spotless. I wouldn't put a hard T in there. Spotless blood. What was the line? Sorry. Are your garments? Are your garments spotless? Spotless are they? In this song, I wouldn't be putting a hard T in there. That's, again, just I want it to sound more like speech. So sometimes I get rid of them so it sounds speech-like in faster stuff. And sometimes I want them there because they help to give a good percussive sound in the middle or the end of a word. It really does add to the percussiveness of the sound. Blood of the Lamb. Blood of the Lamb. Blood of the Lamb. Sorry, I'm in a different key now. But anyway, that's just, again, those kinds of things. So, yes. So we're going to go, and the other thing, this little bridge into the key change where we have this layering, washed in the blood of the Lamb. and then the ladies join washed in the blood of the Lamb, but it's just two parts, and then it breaks into washed in the blood of the Lamb, and then it's higher pitched, and you add a little bit of just a change in rhythm. It just builds. And so beautiful sound in a choir is also about shaping phrases, as I said, which is one of my big things. And also our dynamic contrast, like making it exciting, making the sound something I want to listen to. So he does a great job there of sort of building on the voices. The men sing, then the ladies add, and then it breaks into this 5-part harmony. And then it just leads into that washed in the blood. And then the chorus comes back in. So we're going, I'm not sure, Jude, whether we're starting right at the key change or right before it, but this is going into this is definitely at the key change. So we're just going to continue from here to the end. I will say something about it, and then are you ready to sing? I hope you are. So here we go. This is going into the key change, or at the key change. Washed in the blood. Okay, so I wish I could speak. I wish I should have spoken over that, maybe just to draw your attention to things, because it's hard to, if you don't know the song well, to sort of know where I'm talking about. But I would have preferred, I mean, I like it, but the W on washed, we mentioned how W's are just, they can be washed, washed, washed in the blood of, washed in the blood of the Lamb. I would have liked a little bit more W by using that oo before, just to create that W sound a couple times when they were singing. I liked soul. Can't read my own writing. Are you watching in the soul? That one I liked. I felt like it got up there. I felt like the energy was through that scoop and that they landed well. That very first I've made a face. I don't know if you're watching my face. That was not a good from the men. You could hear it wasn't blended, right? But the second one was better. So that's something we just have to listen to each other and make sure we're doing it all the same way. Washed in the blood of the Lamb, that Lamb, I think that's what I was talking, in the soul cleansing blood of the Lamb, Lamb. I hope you heard that. One of them I thought was too long. So again, it's like tweaking it to make sure it's exactly the way you want it. And white, I didn't have them singing hard T. White as snow, white as snow. It's just kind of a soft T that goes by. At the very beginning of that, at the key change, there was in the blood. That's where I kind of changed the style for me to make it a little bit more separation in between. Music has a staccato than regular, than an accent. In the blood, in the, so where we come up that washed in the blood of the Lamb, washed in the blood of the Lamb, in the blood. I like to have a little bit of separation there just to create a little bit. And sometimes you want to save some things too, right? So I like to bring it in at the key change and at that little bridge spot there as well. And that repeats a few times. The last thing maybe that I'm going to say about that is the fall off at the end. Stephen has written a fall off. So it's like you're falling off the note. And it's written as an eighth note, but you can't do a fall off on an eighth note. Like you can't, it has to finish. So blood of the Lamb, Lamb, there has to be this sense of falling off. And so I think CSS, did a good job at doing that at the end. And I think it's something you have to think about because people see an eighth note and then they're like, I got to fall off and stop in an eighth note. Nah, just fall off and let the sound decay at the end is what I would do. Checking. Just one last thing I want to mention, and I hope you're still all awake, is balance. Balance in a choir is also something that creates a beautiful sound. In my concert band, I have a concert band at school of 100 kids. So that's, I mean, I know in the States you probably have much bigger concert bands, but in my school board, that's a big band. And, you know, to balance 100 students, we talk about the pyramid of sound, and, you know, the flutes are here and the tubas are down here in this pyramid. And in your clarinet section, your first, seconds, and thirds, your thirds need to be louder, your firsts need to listen to your thirds to balance. So in my concert band at school, I might be conducting a band piece, and all I do is I point at my tuba, my tubas, and the kids know, oh, she's wanting balance, because we're not listening down and locking into the low end of the band, you know, because they all just like to play, right? And we like to sing, and sometimes we tend to want to sing soloistically in a group when we need to blend in and balance our sound to the people we're singing with. So it's a good idea, just like we would do, and those of you that are bands people, you know, you lock into these low sounds, you lock into the root of the chord or the bottom of the sound, and you balance yourself to that. When we play in band warm-ups, we often tune chords and we balance. But as singers, we need to do the same thing. We need to balance. And so we lock into the sound of the basses. I mean, the perfect ideal situation would be your seating plan is mixed, so that when we sing mixed in the staff songsters, I love it, because I have this amazing tenor in my left ear, a bass behind me, soprano right beside me, and I can blend my sound and sing into that sound, and my tuning, I think, is much better. But we don't always do that, and your group might not be capable of doing that, because we need to be with our partners that are singing the same part, and that's great, but we need to be listening. So I would say, you know, balance is important. Listen down to the basses. You might have 2 basses and you got 14 sopranos. How are you going to make that work? You know, you can't just say, oh, well, they're nice guys, but we like to sing. You need to make sure that there's balance and blend to make a beautiful sound in your songsters or your youth chorus or whatever the group is you're singing in. So lock into the sound, listen down, and listen around all the time. Okay, so that's that. What we're going to do now is we're going to sing. So you can, you're going to be singing along with the UK recording of Cleansing Power. And I think we're going, I don't know if we're doing the whole thing, Harold. Oh my goodness, we planned this out so well. And now I can't remember if we're doing the whole thing or just from third verse to the end. But the music's going to be up.
It's the third verse, Cathie.
Perfect. So the music's going to be up. You can sing along at home. You're muted. So I want to see your voice. I want to see your mouth moving. And you can think about, I hope that something I've said, you thought, oh yeah, that makes sense. I'd like to try that. So sing along with, maybe incorporate some of the things I've shared as we've listened to this specific piece. And hopefully it has just brought some fresh ideas or reminded you of some things that are good to know in making a beautiful sound. So I think we're ready to sing along. I'm going to mute myself.
The blood of the Lamb. Are you washed? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? In the sun-cleansing blood of the Lamb. Are you God's blood that's nothing but as snow? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb?
Rest, 2, 3, 4. We're getting ready for everybody in the third verse. 2, 3, 4, sing.
Inside your garments that are stained with sin, and be washed in the blood of the Lamb. It's a fountain flowing for the soul unclean. Washed in the blood of the Lamb. Are you washed? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? In the sun-cleansing blood of the Lamb. Are you God's blood that's not
I saw your mouths moving. I hope that you were singing. I hope that you were enjoying that. Just before we take questions or whatever, I just want to say, I am so passionate about worshiping through music and through song. Like I'm even excited sitting here in my little dining room up here in Canada, not being with you, just because we're together, right? Like we're not together in person, but we're together and we're able to do something. It's not ideal, but we're doing it. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity for us to get together like this. I think it's fantastic. And I just want to say to you, all of you, we're not going to lose hope because we're going to be singing together again one day. And I think when that happens, it's going to be absolutely incredible because I think God is he's just going to open up in us emotions and feelings maybe we've never had before. And don't you miss the sound of having people singing around you? I miss it so much. And I just love it so much. And what a blessing we have in Salvation Army, the opportunities we have. So keep your hope alive and keep singing and keep passionate about our voices. And really, we're doing this for the audience of one, right? We really are. And he knows right now what we're going through. And he knows the desires of our hearts that we want to be back together singing. And I think it's going to be absolutely beautiful when we do it. So thank you for participating today, even in this very different way of worshiping together online. It's been encouraging to my heart, and it's been good for my soul this morning to see your faces and to just know that we're just all in this together. And it's great for me to be back at CMI. I haven't been there since 2011, so I feel like I'm there with my shirts and everything and my book, and so that's great. So Harold, I don't know if we got any questions or what we want to do, but the teacher in me wanted to be done by now, so I'm doing well.
No, you're doing very well. Thank you. And we probably should start I would just want to say thank you to you, first of all. I want to thank you to everybody that came on. I need you to pass on our thanks to Janine because that was actually a little difficult exercise. For those of you who did do the virtual choir performance of Cleansing Power, that will be on tomorrow night's evening program. And I have it on good authority because our guest tomorrow is Eric Dina, who's on this call this morning. He's going to be talking about posture breathing and more. And he's going to use this song again tomorrow, Cleansing Power. So you'll get to learn it a little better. The other thing is for tonight, just so you know, if you go to salvationarmymedia.org/live or go on CMI Facebook, Central Music Institute Facebook, we will be there live. Come on at 6:45 so you can kind of see some of the things from last year, 2019 CMI, and then our program starts at 7. So I'm going to remember the golf swing. That's what I remember today, but I don't know about anybody else there. But so come back tomorrow, and we're going to have lots of great music. Thank you again, Cathie, so much for joining us today. Thank you for all of you who came on. Right.
Harold, are we ending with the CSS song, top to bottom?
Yeah, we could run it. I guess we could run it. I was just trying to keep the time. Yeah, we'll go. We'll do Cleansing Power. You'll hear. Is it our version, Jude, or the Canadian Staff Songsters?
Canadian Staff Songsters.
Okay, we'll have the Canadian Staff Songsters, top to bottom of Cleansing Power. You're going to enjoy this music, and it's got a nice groove. So thank you, Cathie.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Have you been to Jesus?
Thanks, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time.
Thank you.